China has confirmed that it is holding the missing Interpol chief Meng Hongwei for questioning. China's National Supervision Commission, which handles corruption cases involving public servants, said Mr. Meng was under investigation for unspecified breaches of the law. Meng was reported missing after traveling from the city of Lyon in France, where Interpol is based, to China on 25th of September. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said that he is personally following the case of missing Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who disappeared last week. Erdogan said that he hopes for a positive outcome in the matter. Khashoggi was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Turkey claims that Khashoggi, a noted critic of the Saudi crown prince, was killed in the consulate and his body later driven out of the compound. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's wife Sarah appeared in court for the first hearing in the fraud trial against her. She is alleged to have misused state funds in ordering catered meals. According to the indictment filed in June, Sarah Netanyahu, along with a government employee, fraudulently obtained from the state more than $100,000 for meals supplied by restaurants. This bypasses the regulations that prohibit obtaining money for meals if a cook is employed at home. Israeli security forces conducted searches in a West Bank village after the military said a Palestinian gunman who is still at large shot dead 2 Israelis and wounded a third in an industrial park next to a Jewish settlement in the embattled West Bank region. The military identified the gunman as Ashraf Walid Suleiman Malwa, a 23-year-old Palestinian from the West Bank of Shuwaika. Israeli military said that he had worked in a factory where the shooting took place. The LGBTQ community in Romania celebrated after a referendum to change Romania's constitution to prevent same-sex couples from securing the right to marry failed to draw enough voters. The vote is being seen as a popularity test of the ruling Social Democrat Party that supported the change and whose attempts to weaken anti-corruption legislation has drawn criticism from the European Union's executive. As Cameroon's capital of Yaoundé goes to polls, many in the country are eager to see their vote bring about change to the country that has been ruled by President Paul Biya for the last 36 years. If Biya wins this election, it will cement his 7th term in office and he could effectively serve as president of Cameroon till the age of 92. In 2011, the 85-year-old won with a 78% vote. However, many, including the U.S. Senate State Department, have called the election flawed. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, has said that Colombia was responding to a monumental crisis in the region from a growing exodus of Venezuelans. Grandi was in Venezuela's border region of Cucuta to see the situation for himself firsthand, pledging to provide more resources to help Colombia deal with the influx. According to reports, nearly 1 million Venezuelans currently live in Colombia. The UN estimates that more than 2 million Venezuelans have fled their country amidst food and medical shortages, a flailing economy and insecurity. Italy's Interior Minister Matteo Salvini has said that Italy will close its airports to unauthorized planes carrying migrants from Germany. His comments have once again stirred up a controversy between the two countries that have been working on a plan to share responsibility for asylum seekers. Salvini said, and I quote, "If someone is in Berlin or Brussels thinks of dumping dozens of immigrants in Italy via unauthorized charter flights, They should know that there is not and there will be no airport available. Twenty people were killed as a limousine carrying a wedding party crashed into a parking lot in rural upstate New York. The crash occurred when the limousine drove through a stop sign at the end of a highway and plowed into an unoccupied vehicle at a parking lot outside an Apple Barrel country store. All 18 inside the limousine were killed, including 2 pedestrians. An oil shortage. Tank carrying 77 million litres of petrol exploded northwest of Seoul. The tank was part of a national oil pipeline system in South Korea. Videos of the explosion showed black smoke billowing from the petroleum fire, with helicopters dumping water onto the burning tank. More than 40 fire trucks were deployed to battle the fire. No reports of injuries from the explosion have surfaced till now. At least 50 people were killed and 100 others injured in a deadly fuel tank collision in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Most of those who were injured suffered severe burn injuries and were rushed to a nearby hospital. The accident took place when a speeding vehicle crashed into a fuel tanker truck, causing a massive explosion. The collision also led to a nearby building and other vehicles being burnt. Protests have erupted in several parts of South India over the lifting of a ban that allowed entry of women of menstruating age to enter the prominent Sabrimala temple. Thousands of Hindu devotees, especially women, protested the Indian top court's decision to allow the women of all ages to enter the temple in Kerala. The government in Kerala is bracing for a face-off between the protesters and women and girls aged 10 to 15 who want to visit the Sabrimala Hill temple when it reopens on October 17th. A massive cordon and search operation has been launched by security forces in parts of Jammu and Kashmir Shopian district. Indian Army officials carried out a search after receiving information of the suspicious movement of militants in the district. Door-to-door searches in around 6 villages were conducted. A large wildfire has erupted near the Portuguese capital of Lisbon. More than 700 firefighters backed by 6 aircraft battled the blaze in the hills around the resort areas of Cascais and Sintra. Now, officials said 18 firefighters had been lightly injured in the blaze. The wildfire flames are being fanned by strong winds and an unusually hot October. Hundreds of residents have been evacuated to avoid mass casualties. Indonesia's government has announced that it will officially conclude the search and rescue operations for earthquake and tsunami victims on Thursday after over 2 weeks' efforts. Officials said that they now wish to focus their efforts on post-disaster reconstruction. The devastating earthquake in Indonesia has left over 1,700 dead. Hundreds of Indonesians continue to search for bodies of their lived ones under the rubble. German rescue workers from the International Search and Rescue Agency arrived in Indonesia's Palu town to help with aid efforts. The area remains the worst affected after a 7.5 magnitude earthquake followed by a tsunami killed over 1,600 people. The team, consisting of 14 rescuers from across Germany, disembarked from US Air Force transport plane and is working to provide clean drinking water to those living in relief camps. Human tower building competitions took over the streets of Spain's northeastern city of Tarragona in Catalonia. Although the competition is not an official pro-independence event, it is an integral and long-rooted tradition of the Catalan culture. The biannual competition made a comeback for the first time since the failed Catalonian independence referendum in 2017. Around 6,000 spectators attended the event, with many using the platform to voice demand for a free Catalonia. People's marches demanding a vote on Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal are not uncommon in Britain yesterday. However, the streets of London witnessed thousands of dogs and their owners march to Britain's Parliament. Demonstrators echoed demands of an end to Brexit via a second vote on the terms of the country's exit from the European Union. Organisers, who called it the Woof referendum campaign, argued that animals would also suffer from leaving the EU, as there would be a likely shortage of vets and rise in pet food costs.
As you said on the radio thing,
I believe this is a...
In honor of Catholic Feast and World Animal Day, thousands of Filipinos gathered in Manila to have their pets blessed. A Catholic priest held a mass for the pets and sprinkled holy water at the various breeds of dogs and cats as a sign of veneration of Saint Francis of Assisi. The patron saint of animals, many of the pet owners also dressed their four-legged friends in colorful costumes and joined a parade to promote responsible pet ownership. Stunning displays of skywriting aerobatics were shown off at China's Alexa Aviation Festival. The aerobatics team rode the number of 69 in the sky to honor the 69th anniversary of China. At an altitude of 3,000 meters, the skywriting stunts were performed by a U.S. aerobatic team led by a 72-year-old Wayne Mansfield. Thousands thronged to Tianjin city in northeast China to witness the spectacle of the ongoing International Lantern Show. Featuring traditional, modern and technological elements, the Lantern Festival creates scenes that can change with every step. The month-long festival is slated to run until mid-October.